What's up, guys? Welcome to the FlexWork Podcast, where we highlight the journey, the successes, the trials and tribulations of local business owners that are just doing big things within their industry. And today, we have a real special guest. And I'll tell you this. When I contacted this gentleman on the phone, I instantly connected with him because his energy is truly infectious. His name is Joe. He is the founder and CEO of Strong Mile Movers. And he walked in and he said, "Hey, take one of these." Because this gentleman truly is a marketing genius when it comes to doing things differently within his industry. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you Joe Stanio. Did I say that right? We were upstairs talking. Right? He was like, "Yo, you're Italian. Hey, Joe, what's going on, man?"
Hey, man, just living the best dream, living the best life.
I'm so excited, and we're blessed to have you here because you are a guy, like I said on the phone, that just really had infectious energy, and that's the type of people we want to highlight because that infectious energy is what infects you into other people's lives and why they would want to come and use your business.
Absolutely.
Speaking of your business, you established Strong Mile Movers back in 2012, right?
Yep.
And before that, what were you doing?
I was a union pipe fitter. I was a sprinkler fitter. Yeah, exactly. Construction guy for like 15 years, installing fire suppression systems. New complexes, warehouses.
Yeah. So back in 2012, you said, "All right, I'm tired of laying pipe, and I want to start moving people." So tell me the story on how you started Strong Mile Movers, because like, were you just going to work one day and you said, "You know what? I don't want to get up on a ladder anymore. Mm-hmm. I'd rather take apart people's IKEA beds and put them back together at different locations. Let me start a moving company."
I had no interest in messing with IKEA beds. Right? But so 2011 is when me and my wife got married. Okay. 11/11/11, as a matter of fact.
Oh, wow. That's lucky. Do you ever play that, like, when you go to AC or like?
It pops up every day for us. We see it all the time.
Oh, that's cool.
Just kind of
keeps
cool. Reaffirming who we are.
I love that.
So, 2011, got married. I was unemployed when we got married, but I did go back to work in the spring.
Wait a minute. And she still married you?
Yeah, she still married me. Yeah.
God, you must have
really good credit. She throws that in my face all the time.
You must have really good credit, or just an all-around nice. Well, you're Italian, so that's what it is.
She knew I was an earner. She just had to hold out. So 20 years ago, we started dating. But anyway, back to 2012. I go back to work in the spring. A new complex being built. I'm thinking I'm going to be working through the summer, and I guess my loud mouth got in my way, and I got fired again. They called it laid off, but come on, man, there was plenty of work ahead of us. So. But, sometimes through the, getting knocked down, something beautiful can come from that.
Yeah,
so,
true.
So I got laid off, but I didn't have any more unemployment. I had exhausted all of my benefits, and the hall wasn't calling me. So I started calling, union companies, and nobody was hiring. And my brother-in-law owns a moving company up in New England. Okay. And he had told me for years, he'd seen me getting laid off so many times. "Hey, man, you gotta start a moving company." And like I said, I had no interest in IKEA furniture or moving people's couches. But when you're out of money and you have no unemployment, and there's no more work, everything is on the table. And
sure.
That popped into my mind. And I was just married. I gotta be that earner she's expecting me to be. So went up, and for a week I stayed with my brother-in-law, which is my wife's sister's husband, Joey. Another Joe. Joey.
Is he Italian by any chance?
He is not Italian. No, he's not. I don't believe so. No. He should be, but no. He's anyway. So moving on. So go up there for a week, do some recon, go out on the jobs, get a little sense of it. And I was like, you know what? I might be able to do this after all. So came back home and started tinkering. He told me kind of the direction to kind of head in. And July 2012, my first job.
And you never looked back.
And I never well, yeah. I mean, I look back on the good times. We're not as profitable as we were back in 2016, 17. It was really, we were cranking. We were on
cranking. Yeah. So, I always like to say there's like that moment, right? Mm-hmm. That fork in the road where as we're starting businesses or as we're getting into business, where we say, you know what? This is too hard. F this, right? So my story, like I was on the radio, okay? And my dream was to be on the radio in New York. And I did whatever I could to get every shift I could. I would miss, Christmas. I would miss funerals. I would miss whatever. And then I was on the radio in New York City weekends, and my mom was in hospice, okay? And not to be dismal, but this was my fork in the road. My mom was in hospice, and I had to do a shift that day. And I asked the nurse, and I said to her, and I go, hey, listen, my mom was there for a reason. Obviously, she was just meant to be comfortable, and she was going to, pass on right from there. And I said to the nurse, hey, will my mom be okay? I just have a 4-hour shift. I'll be right back. Because I loved it so much. I had this dream. I had this desire. I would literally break through walls. I would leave my mother in hospice to go do a shift. Mm-hmm. And 5 minutes into my shift, my brother called me and he said, get here now. Mm. And I was in New York City. And the life was taken out of me because I said I was going to give everything for this job. And I just gave my mother. And then I put it on automation, and I ran out, and literally before I even got outside on Hudson Street in New York, my brother was like, take your time. She took her last breath. To me, that was my pivotal moment where I realized that radio wasn't as important as a work-life balance. Sure. That was my fork. Gotcha. Was there a fork in the road for you where you said, you know what? I'm all in on this. Now, you were unemployed, right? Yeah, obviously. You were just married. But you said to yourself, man, F this. I'm not doing this. I'm going back to work. Or, hey, there's something that came into you that says, I'm all in here. There's no turning back. What was your fork in the road? Do you have one? And I know that's a deep question because I just told you a very like dismal story about my life. But that was my thing. It was just like, you know what? I'll miss a shift because it'll be there at the end. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'll talk about my most recent fork because I think that's the most pivotal of late, which was last year. I think, we talked a little earlier that starting last year, I was considering just wrapping it up. I was thinking about just moving on, doing something.
Is it because the way people are moving now, or people aren't just moving? Is it the industry? Is it the economy? What was it in your mind?
I believe that COVID, we all know that once COVID hit, people started moving.
Sure.
Right? So what happens, people seeking opportunity, you become a mover. All right? So there's so many movers in the market now, and there's not as many people that are moving.
Sure.
Right? So
competition.
We have too much supply. There's not enough demand.
Sure.
And this is why I'm, expanding. When all seemed lost, I decided to double down and expand.
That was your fork.
Well, this is because I was thinking about giving up altogether and doing something completely different. I was offered an opportunity to run a dude ranch up outside of Lake George. That's for another day.
Ranch.
That's for another day. We can talk about that's a whole nother story.
Dude ranch.
Underline, yes. A dude
so you
ranch.
were gonna be like lassoing horses and like milking cows and stuff?
No, I was just gonna be running it, making sure that it was profitable, making money, making sure that there were enough people coming in because the owner wasn't making enough money on it.
Okay.
And they thought I was the kind of personality that could go up there and fix it all. And I have no doubt that I could do it. But
I think with your energy, absolutely.
I'd have to uproot my whole family and move them 4 hours north of here. And everybody was like, we're not doing that. And I was like, but it's just nice to see that opportunity arise because it happened, just so recently. But last year, my fork in the road was contemplating staying in business. My aunt passed away. 10 days later, my best friend, he passed away. Back in April, unfortunately, he was hit by a car.
Jeez, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Really, it really put life in perspective for me because I know that my aunt was all my dad really had. Like brother-sister bond was tight. Mm-hmm. So when he lost his sister, I knew I needed to be there for my dad like even more. Okay, and it made me stop and think about life and how I'm impacting the world. And then to lose my buddy. Now, I had lost touch with Tim for quite some time, but Tim is single-handedly the man that changed my life. He was the fork in the road back in 1995 when I met him in college.
So many forks, yeah.
Okay? Yeah. So that was the one fork that put me on this journey that got me even here. But the things that we talked about when we were having our best of times, knowing that his life was cut short, I said, you know what? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make Tim proud, because I feel like Tim's with me like every day. There's a part of Tim that's always been with me, even when he was here. And now that he's gone, I took it, and I could have been depressed about it. And it was sad. You got to mourn.
Yeah.
You got to live it.
Yeah.
But you got to also chew it up, and you got to spit it out, and you got to be like, okay, what are we going to do about it? We could feel bad about it, or we could do something about it. I can become everything that we promised each other that we were going to be, and then some.
Absolutely.
And ever since then, again, reading books, that was the first thing a buddy of mine gave me a CD collection to get me kind of headed in the right direction. But
a CD collection.
A CD
I
collection.
don't think CDs exist anymore.
Right. And that's why I was never able to read it. Yeah, exactly. Because it's so inconvenient, right? Right. But nonetheless, he's like, you got to read this book. This is going to change your life. And I needed something. So I just bought into an Audible. And I'm
amazing.
I've never been able to sit down, and my dad wasn't a big reader. Mom wasn't
Open
around.
a book and read.
I can sit down and read, and I
Yeah.
got to get up
Yeah.
and move, baby.
Yeah.
So I was like $15 a month. I think I can invest $15 a month. And one book a month sounds like feasible to me. And away I went. I read that book 3 times in a row. I read the follow-up to that 3 times in a row. And I've been reading one by one. Now, I've read 12 books in less than a year,
Jeez.
more than I've ever
That's
cumulatively in my life.
And these books are helping you kind of get over these hurdles in your mind to push forward. Like, are they inspirational? What type of books are you digging into to help you as a person personally, but also professionally?
It's on the level of self-helping,
Cool.
putting myself in the right position, putting myself in the right mindset, never giving up and always moving on. And even though you can't see it today, if you progressively move yourself in one direction, you're going to get to your dreams, and you're the only one that can kind of limit yourself.
I truly believe that.
Like, so I've been grinding more than ever.
Great.
I've also been, perspective has been big to me. I could feel bad about my position, or I could just be like, there is hope on the horizon. Ever since I've been living on this hope on the horizon kind of mindset, great stuff has been happening to me. I've been meeting more and more people. More and more people want to be around me. I find myself hanging out. I have more friends than ever that I've established in the town that I live in over the past 3 months.
Isn't it amazing?
It's just everything.
You attract positivity. Attracts positivity. I don't care what anybody says. People are more inclined to be in your life when you are a positive light in their lives.
All day.
And I'm not saying that's in a selfish way, but everybody has a story, right? Everybody has a trial and a tribulation in their life, and they want to be around people that lift them up. And that's why it's amazing. As I'm sitting here thinking and hearing you talking, this was just supposed to be an interview and find out about your business, but we're literally getting inspiration through, like, hey, think positively, and people around you will follow suit. And I heard that on the phone with you, and that's why you're here, right? And I think that your fork in the road is going to touch a lot of people, because same with me. My fork, I made the bad decision. My mom went. Now every day I'm hearing in my voice, like, shut up, push forward. This is what you wanted, and I was supported you the whole way. And your friend Tim over your shoulders doing the same thing, and hence why you're here, and hence why Strong Mile is still in business, right? I mean,
more than ever.
Yeah,
we are
man.
open for business, baby.
And I noticed on the website, and I love this, and I'm going to read it. You put a modern twist. Your business puts a modern twist on moving services.
Right.
Do me a favor, elaborate on that. And I also, another thing is, you are the first licensed mover in the state of New Jersey who doesn't even own their own trucks.
Right.
How does that look?
First and only licensed mover in the state, doesn't own any moving trucks. When I went to get a license with the Division of Consumer Affairs, they kind of were like, they didn't know how to take me, because I had to register a truck is one of the regulations. But I was like, but you're taking away from my demographic of, like, I don't want to own a truck. That's the idea. I only get the truck when I need the truck idea. And you're telling me I have to get one now. They're like, well, that's what the law states. I was like, but there's so much more going on in the industry that doesn't require a truck. And I'm tapping into that. I'm tapping into that on-site help. The traditional stuff, everybody can do the traditional stuff. Everybody can pack a box and wrap a couch and move it. But who can, build that pesky IKEA furniture from scratch from the box?
But
that's a pain in the butt.
I want to cut you off because I think acquiring minds want to know. Here, we're questioning.
Talk to me.
And I know everybody in this room, the one person other than us that's in this room, and everybody else that is listening to this. Yeah. Why are there always 14 screws left over after putting together an IKEA bed? And when you look at those screws, you're like, all right, I'm going to be sleeping one night, and this darn thing is going to fall out from under me. Mm-hmm. Do you ever find, as a professional IKEA furniture builder, are you ever left over with 14 screws, or are we just mess ups and don't know what the hell we're doing?
No, you need to hire strong mile movers to do that, bro.
Amen.
Yeah, if you don't know what you're doing, we see it every day. You don't. So you're not a professional.
It just, now the thing looks like it's sturdy, but then you look you're like, you have a whole nother bag that hasn't even been opened. Yeah. And there's clamps and screws and this that look like they need to be there. Are they extras, or did we just miss them?
They do have extras, but typically it's only like one or two. If you have 14 left over, you did it wrong, bro. Just
I'm telling you, I've actually even found one with that extra sock in the dryer.
Oh, geez.
Like, where'd this screw come from?
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So you put a modern twist on it.
Right.
What is keeping you? So I always like to say I come from the industry, many years entertainment, right? And if you go into bar X and bar Y, I'm going to take it to where I came from. Bar X serves the same Budweiser beer that bar Y does. Mm-hmm. What makes that consumer want to go to bar X as opposed to bar Y? So let's bring it back to you. You are a moving company.
Yep.
With a modern twist.
Right.
First licensed company in the state of New Jersey to not even own their own trucks.
Right.
But essentially, at the end of the day, you're still a mover. Mm-hmm. And on your block, there's probably 400 other movers. Probably. What makes people come to Bar X, Strong Mile Movers, as opposed to the one down the street? What makes you different? What do you do different? How do you treat your clients differently? Right. Why will people want to choose you?
Well, I'm the difference at the end of the day. And holding yourself accountable is the most important thing you could ever do, just in life in general, but most importantly as a business owner. Not every job has been a 5-star job.
Sure.
Okay. And if you hold yourself accountable and say, yeah, we screwed up, how can I make this right?
Because everybody, no matter what you are, whether you're a restaurant, a bar, a mover, a car dealership, everybody screws up at some point.
Yeah.
It's how you handle that screw up
always
that sets you apart from the next person.
They're not going to read the 200 5-star reviews. They're going to read the 5 1-star reviews. And then it's also on how you respond to those because there's always two sides to a story.
Sure. So
that's one level of it is accountability. But we also like to have a little fun. And that's really what it's always been. I mean, again, it comes back to me. I try to, be warm and fuzzy with my customers to let them know that Joe's a good guy.
Yeah.
And Joe has your best interest in mind. And I'm here to help you out. And I do this every day. Like I mentioned, I can tell you how to prepare. I can tell you what you should be moving on your own and leaving for me. You might be bringing the thing over that would work for me and then expecting me to move something that you could have moved and saved yourself exponentially a lot more money. Yeah. So I have the best interest in mind. I try to relate to people. I try to have fun with them on the phone. I try to make them laugh. I try to tear down that wall, make them feel comfortable. There's a stigma out there as a mover, right? You've seen the Optum commercials a few years ago where they're like throwing boxes down the, man, you're screwing up my industry. But actually, listen, it's a good and a bad thing. Bad thing, somebody's being taken advantage of right now by some of these knuckleheads. The stereotype is there for a reason.
Sure.
All right. And the good reason is that that's my competition, and I just stay away from that, and I just set the bar high. And I don't just set it so high, I set it even higher.
Sure.
I'm a problem solver. That's really, you have to be in life. You have to be a problem solver.
Absolutely.
Let's be honest. Okay.
So when people call Strong Mile Movers and they are looking to book your services, they always get you, the president, CEO of the company.
Every time.
They're not dealing with
every time
somebody.
It's been
now you do have a staff, but you are the one that tells people how to get ready for the move, handles so you're playing HR, you're playing account executive, you're playing, like solution, you're doing it all, essentially, because you want to be
the face playing. I'm living it.
Yeah.
I'm doing every part. Yeah, absolutely. And they're getting it from head to toe. I'll be doing the survey. I do the follow-up call. I make sure that they're all right. I make sure it's okay. One woman called me up freaking out one day, 3 weeks after her move. The Peloton plug for the cycle was missing, and it's her daughter's cycle who's coming home from school. She's a a college athlete. She needs a Peloton, and she's due back in 3 days. Joe, we can't find the plug. I went on Amazon. I overnighted it to her to make sure, because she was freaking out a little bit. And guess what? She has 2 Peloton plugs right now, but she couldn't find it.
Yeah, you handled it.
All right, but I handled it. I mean, and that's important because, again, crisis averted, because lesser. I don't know where it is. Right.
Sure,
Next thing you know, she writing a bad review for my company, and I don't need that.
And I was going to bring up
$27.
Yeah,
is the best $27 I ever spent.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Right. And I was going to bring up reviews because looking at your reviews, your 5-star reviews, the consensus is that you are professional, you're concise, great customer service. What are the things that you instill within your employees to make them, because essentially you're the guy, you're the face of the business, but the people out in the field, disassembling the IKEA furniture and putting it back together are the ones that are the ground soldiers that are, people are going to be like, hey, Joe was great, but his worker, Julian, was awful. Right. What do you instill in them to make them kind of, drink the juice of strong mile movers?
It's just more of me. It's just an extension of the same person I am with the customers is the same person I am with the men. Like, guys, this is what we do. This is what we're all about. There's like a culture, I always say, that's here, where I treat people with respect. I used to be the guy. I used to be the construction guy. I told you that, right? Yeah. I used to be the gopher. I'd have to run around, and there were some bosses I will never ever talk to any of my employees the way I've been talked to. Okay, right? You still, and the nice guys, the motivators, those are the guys, the inspiration guys. And I try to instill that. Most recently, I'm trying to come up with a new motto: the professional moving with a modern twist. I want to twist that into something. Cool. This time around, I asked all of my men. I want all of us to come up with that motto. I want us all to be part of what the new. What is our mission? What's our mission statement as a whole? So they even feel more empowered and more part of
the business,
of the process,
rather than just an hourly employee or somebody that gets paid. Right.
I mean, they love the T-shirts.
I love it.
We got the jackets. Yeah. I mean, listen, for Christmas, I got them all matched sneakers the past 4 years.
Wow. So if you don't see it, he's wearing Nike. Yeah, take it off. Show it.
Say, baby.
I mean, it matches.
Yeah, man.
It matches the shirt. I mean, you're just
the water bottles.
Right. And he's a marketing genius.
The
first to ever do it.
Nobody else can take orange
pen.
Well, you got to realize you got I was AT&T is blue, Verizon is red, T-Mobile's that weird like mauve color.
Yeah.
Sprint is yellow. It's the idea they've kind of associated a color that just is only them.
100%.
So
there's a whole science behind that.
So I've taken over orange.
Orange, cool.
And a good friend of mine, great designer. He's a graphic designer in New York City. So he's always helped me out. My best friend for many years.
Oh, amazing.
He's always been a great help when it comes to.
As I'm talking to you,
yeah, man.
I'm realizing, and I just feel compelled to say, we're only as good as our network, of people. Again, you have your friend Tim who's on your shoulder. He's part of your network, right?
Yep.
This graphic designer you spoke about. Is there anybody else in your life that has really, helped Strong Mile? Not you personally, but that you could say that has been a pivotal part of bringing Strong Mile Movers 13 years later to where you are now.
Can you
So is there somebody that you could think about? Is there is your wife? Did your wife push you? Is there somebody that is so important in your life that you want to shout them out? Meaning they really, again, you were at that fork in the road and they said, get down this way and keep going. Outside of Tim?
Well, yeah. So I mean, I called him on the way here too. So he'll be happy when he gets mentioned here. But Mark Scher is a good friend of mine. He owned a business in the same building that I currently have my office in. He had a storefront that it fell apart. Didn't work out for him. And he's always been a big fan. He was the connector to the Dude Ranch, as a matter of fact. So he was the middleman between the owner. He's like, Joe, I love you. I know you're the guy. I'm telling you, this would be great for you. But of course it didn't work out. And I know there'll be more opportunity, but he's also the one that turned me on. He's the one that gave me the CDs. All right.
We need to get him up on the MP3s, bro. The CDs, I don't think
that's why he gave it to me,
CD
because he
player,
wasn't
right?
listening to it. But it's fine, because I ended up, that was the first book that I got on Audible and saw it through and kept reading and just started an avalanche of just new knowledge and fun and motivation more than ever to just, sky's the limit.
So we talk about motivation. Let's talk about innovation.
Mm-hmm.
So as we wrap this up, we know that if you're not constantly changing, and no matter what industry you're in, whether you're in marketing, car sales, moving, restaurants, if you're not constantly innovating on how you present yourself to people, you're kind of going to fall short. You're going to be left by the wayside. How this year in 2025, because on the phone when I spoke to you, you said this is a pivotal year for me, right? What are you going to do at Strong Movers outside of Strong Mile Man, which is like a superhero, right?
Dun, dun, dun.
So if you check out Joe's website, strongmilemovers.com, right? If you check out his website, they have a guy on there called Strong Mile Man. He's like a superhero. So like he swoops in, he puts your stuff in a box, puts it in the truck, and takes it with a blink of an eye, and he's dressed in orange with a cape.
That's extra, though. Just so you know.
So innovation, how is Strong Mile Movers going to innovate to get you through the end of 2025 and remain competitive? And second part of that question is, what does the end of 2025 look like for Joe and Strong Mile Movers?
Yeah, expansion all the way. So storage. I had to step back. You remember I told you thinking about getting out of the industry, and I decided to double down on the industry. So I thought about profitable ways within the moving industry on how to make money.
Sure, yeah.
Now, aside from these little on-site jobs, or I'm not going to make millions by putting together IKEA furniture, right? So, hey, man, I walk into my self-storage facility, and there's one person behind the counter. There's 500 units in the back. The lights kick on with a sensor, motion sensor. I'm like, I can build off of the name of Strong Mile Movers and segue into storage. So that's really kind of how, within the next 3 years, breaking ground on my own self-storage facility.
Amazing.
By the end of this year, my portable storage delivery business will be up and running to compete with Pods and Pack Rat.
I was going to say, you see them all over, right?
But I have a system in place. I just need to get the money and get the capital, and that should hopefully be by this summer.
Amazing.
I really want to get that rolling. So in conjunction with the moving and the storage and the boats we're moving, the campers, the motorcycles.
You do it all.
We're doing really everything and anything under the sun, loading, unloading, on-site, floor to floor, room to room, staging furniture, again, building furniture. We're moving items out of the way for a contract to do renovations, like new flooring.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and we can then bring a portable storage container,
Put them in there while they get
put it in the driveway,
Right.
and then put it, out of the way completely for the contractor to work. So.
Amazing. So 2025 is going to be a real pivotal year for you
It already
to
is.
kind of grow on
Yeah.
the amazing business you've already established for 13 years. Now, before we go,
Let's go.
I'm a guy that comes from radio. I can tell you crazy stories for days.
Yep, same.
If you could pick one crazy story that whether it be a crazy customer, crazy house you went into, like did you have to disassemble a stripper pole? Like what was it? Give me one crazy story before we get out of here for the day.
Well, I don't really have like a mover story because, again, I'm more so in the office these days.
Okay.
But if I can kind of just tell back, if you will, this is one of the better stories. It talks about how I started the business, if I may. So it all begins back in the day of pagers, beeper days.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go back to
07734. That was hello. If you turned it up.
Yeah, right. Okay, good. You're
God,
already
did I just,
on the
wait, did I
you're
just
already
date myself?
on the path.
Everybody used 07734. You
Say
turned it
hello.
around. Yeah.
So listen,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is beautiful because that's a great segue into the story, to be honest with you. So you would get a random page from a random payphone, and you had no idea who you're calling back, right? So my little group, Tim was there. We
your buddy,
came
yeah.
up with our own number to put at the end of the phone number, and that was your number.
Okay.
Some of the guys
Okay.
use like their frat number,
Sure.
or one guy like guns, so he was 357, whatever. That was your number.
Okay.
We know that's Tim. That's Joe.
An
Okay.
identifying number that you knew. Okay.
So I didn't have a number though to go by. Okay. So I started thinking of my name, and in the idea of hello upside down, I took the J and I flipped it and I got a 7. And I took the O and I got a 0, right?
Right.
Trades out. And then you take the E and flip it around, you got a 3. So 703 was my number. Okay. So when you look at it, if you look at it upside down, it's Joe. It's there. You're looking at it, you see it. Okay. Right. So a good friend of mine, another guy now, says, man, hanging out with you, Joe, this is awesome. It's all because I know you. It's all because I know Joe. All because I know Joe. All because I know Joe. And I was like, that's got a little bit of a catch to it. I kind of like that. So I started making T-shirts. I was a little low on my self-esteem. I needed a little bit of pick-me-up. And I made a bunch of I Know Joe T-shirts back in the mid-90s. My friends were like, I love these. I love these shirts. These are great. Can I have one? So I got like a $3 shirt from like AC Moore at the time. And I'm giving it away. Yeah. Now I'm showing up at parties. There's 3 people wearing an I Know Joe T-shirt. That'll boost your confidence when you're 20 years old and trying to build up a little confidence. So people are like, man, Joe, these are great. You should start selling them. So I go, selling them. I was like, how much should I sell them for? I go, well, I'm paying $3. I go, how about $7.03? So I start selling the I Know Joe shirt for $7.03. They're like, why $7.03? Like $7.03. Why? And I tell them the story. So then I'm like, I need an I Know Joe party. I Know Joe party. When am I going to throw it? 7:03. July the 3rd. Wait, nobody's got to work the next day. Every year now, I'm still doing the I Know Joe party every year. 7:03.
The I Know Joe party.
The I Know Joe party. Wow. So it started back in like 2000. We shut it down in 2005 because I moved. Now I got a house. I got a backyard. I Know Joe party has been back on since I moved. Okay.
Wow.
Leading up to 2012, spring of 2012, I get laid off. All right. Looking to figure out what I'm doing. Come back home. Start up Strong Mile, and put myself out there on the marketplace. The very first Strong Mile Movers job was 7:03 of 2012.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That gives you chills.
Right, dude. It. Yeah, again. And I've told that like 100 times. And I can't make it up. Very first Strong Mile job was 7:03.
7:03.
So the beeper, the T-shirt, the party, and the first day of Strong Mile Movers. You can't make it up, man.
Divine intervention right there.
IKnowJoe.com. IKnowJoe.com. Brings you right to Strong Mile Movers, as a matter of fact.
So speaking of, Joe, thank you so much for being here today.
I'm happy I was able to share.
We're so happy and blessed that we were able to highlight you. You are an amazing person. And I'm going to tell you this. When you go to a business, yes, you want the product that the business is selling as a customer, but you also want to invest your money into the face. And you are the face of Strong Mile Movers. And people are in for a treat when they come to see you. Anything for your moving needs. Strong Mile Movers. Make the smart move. StrongMileMovers.com. Ask for Joe. I'll tell you what, I'm going to be bold. We didn't talk about this. But if you say you heard it through the podcast, maybe he'll give you a little bit of percentage off. I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk about that after.
Take care of it.
Just kidding. Joe, thank you so much. Appreciate you for coming here.
Thanks for having me.
Good luck in the future. And we look forward
to
seeing what December 31st, 2025 looks like for you.
Yeah, same here, man. I'm excited.
Amazing.
Rock and roll.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate you.